This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Heather Sells. We begin with major news about Iran. The Associated Press reports that 2 U.S. officials say it is highly likely that the Ukrainian jetliner that crashed was shot down by an Iranian anti-aircraft missile on Tuesday. That crash took the lives of all 176 people on board. Mark Martin joins us now with more. Mark.
Heather, the crash of that jetliner happened just a few hours after Iran launched its missile attack against Iraqi military bases that house U.S. troops. That attack followed the U.S. drone strike last week that killed Iranian Revolutionary Guard General Qasem Soleimani. As far as the crash of the Ukrainian jetliner, the officials pointed to U.S. intelligence for their conclusion about Iran's possible involvement. The Associated Press says they spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive information. AP goes on to say they had no immediate information on a motive. Meanwhile, at a news conference, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi announced the House is passing today a war powers resolution to limit the president's military actions. She went on to say that, quote, the administration must de-escalate and must protect, prevent further violence. America and the world cannot afford war.
Last week, in our view, the administration conducted a provocative, disproportionate airstrike against Iran, which endangered Americans, and did so without consulting Congress. When I was informed of this attack, the administration took responsibility for it over the weekend. I said, why did you not consult with Congress? Well, we held it in closely. We held it in closely. No, you have a responsibility to consult with Congress.
At the White House, President Donald Trump defended his decision to order the airstrike that killed Soleimani and the briefing that he and his national security team gave members of Congress.
I had calls from numerous senators and numerous congressmen and women saying it was the greatest presentation they've ever had. Mike and Rand Paul disagreed because they want information that, honestly, I think is very hard to get. It's okay if the military wants to give it, but they didn't want to give it. And it really had to do with sources and information that we had that really should remain at a very high level. Could we individually maybe give 1 or 2 of them some information? Possibly, if we can do that. I get along great with Mike Lee. I've never seen him like that. But other people have called and they've said, it was the best presentation they've ever seen. And let me tell you what was the best. Forget about presentation, the result. We killed a man who killed many, many Americans and many, many people, thousands and thousands of people.
At that news conference, the president was referring to the opposition of Republican Senators Mike Lee and Rand Paul. Vice President Mike Pence said Soleimani was traveling the region making plans to bring an attack against American personnel and American forces. And Heather Pence said it was not possible to disclose the full details of the intelligence with lawmakers. Back to you.
Thanks, Mark. And our chief international correspondent, Gary Lane, joins us now with more. So, Gary, what do you make of this war powers vote? Could the resolution tie the president's hands against taking action with respect to Iran?
Well, that's the concern that a lot of people have. Some people say it's unconstitutional, and unconstitutional because it would tie the powers or the powers of the president to act. But what's the need for this? That's the question right now, Heather, is because the problem that comes in is we already have a War Powers Act in place. That was passed in 1973. That requires the president to notify Congress within 48 hours of taking action, and then restricts him from keeping boots on the ground and having military action under a war power for 60 days. He's limited to 60 days. So what's the need? It must be just political posturing.
Right, and I believe that we have a soundbite pertaining to this. If you pertaining to what you were just mentioning.
Let me just discuss with you. I had interviewed for the show The Global Lane, which airs tonight on the CBN News Channel, Tom Tancredo. And Congressman Tancredo is a former congressman, and he works with We Build the Wall. He said that, look, there's a need to strengthen our security along the southern border of the United States because agents from Iran have already snuck into the United States. Listen to what he had to say.
We know it's happening. And therefore, I mean, honestly, if we don't do everything we can to defend those borders, then the blood of people killed in this country will be certainly the responsibility of people in this Congress and anybody who has tried to prevent and to maintain open borders, and to anybody who has created and maintained sanctuary cities where these people can hide out, can get lost in the crowd.
And I know there's going to be more on that on Global Lane tonight, too. I want to ask you also, right now it seems like there's a little bit of a lull in the action, if you will, between the Iran and the U.S., and I think everyone's breathing a sigh of relief. But should we be expectant perhaps for more retaliation from Iran? What are you thinking?
Well, I think it's still going to be tit for tat here. There's already a report that there was a missile fired against our base, one of our bases in Iraq today. I think it'll be tit for tat, maybe not militarily, but the greatest threat right now, Heather, has to do with cybersecurity. The governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, said they've already had 10,000 hits a minute in Texas against state networks there coming from Iran. These are Iranian people trying to hack into computer systems in Texas. So if that's happening in Texas, it is likely happening in other states and also on the federal level. So that's something to look out for, as well as a possibility of operatives from Iran. They don't necessarily have to be Iranian, but agents from Iran coming into the U.S. from the southern border. It's very likely and possible. And
we've heard about the waterways in the Middle East, too. There's so many fronts to cover here. Gary Lane, thanks for your insights.
Keep praying.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and for more information and stories, please do watch the Global Lane. That is tonight at 9:30 Eastern, and that, of course, is only on the CBN News Channel. Well, Australia's wildfires continue to rage on. People in a second town on Australia's Kangaroo Island have evacuated as fire crews deal with flare-ups and new blazes that sparked today. An emergency warning remains in place for bushfires threatening lives and homes across the region. The fires burning through much of Australia have claimed at least 26 lives since September and destroyed more than 2,000 homes. Hundreds of firefighters are battling blazes from the air and ground. Last year was Australia's hottest and driest on record. Well, meanwhile, here in the U.S., meteorologists say spring-like storms bringing severe weather and even tornadoes are expected to wreak havoc over the next few days. The Storm Prediction Center says there is a risk for severe weather tomorrow for more than 9 million people. Weather officials say the system could bring damaging winds and tornadoes across parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Heavy snow is also expected in some areas, making travel conditions dangerous. The Fort Worth area church that lost 2 members in a Sunday morning shooting says it will remodel the entire sanctuary to help its members feel safe again. A gunman opened fire during communion in the Sunday service at West Freeway Church of Christ. He killed 2 church members before the head of the church's security team shot and killed him. Pastor Britt Farmer told CBN News that getting over the trauma of that shooting will take time both for him and the congregation.
The sound of the first shot when it rang out just resonated through the whole auditorium, and there was the gunfire across the building. So to be usable, we're going to have to completely remodel it, just because of the aesthetics and the psychological trauma that we all went through. It's not easy to walk, even for myself, to walk into the room and not immediately look to where the shooter was and where we were.
Grief counselors spent the day on Tuesday meeting with members of the church. Farmer says that West Freeway wants to continue with its ministry plans, and that includes a school of evangelism that it hopes to open next year. Well, Chick-fil-A CEO Dan Cathy's letter to the American Family Association about the company's charitable giving is being labeled an apology to homophobes by Pink News. It's a news outlet for the LGBTQ community. As CBN News reported this week, Cathy says his company is not abandoning faith-based organizations, just shifting its focus. In the letter, Cathy told the AFA's Don Wildman, "We inadvertently discredited several outstanding organizations that have effectively served communities for years." And Tim Wildman with the American Family Association joins us now. Tim, you received this personal letter from Dan Cathy. He also assured you in it that Chick-fil-A has not abandoned its commitment to its corporate purpose, which is to glorify God by being a faithful steward and having a positive influence on people. Are you satisfied with the letter?
Well, yes and maybe, if I can answer that way. I do thank Dan Cathy, the CEO of Chick-fil-A, for responding to our letter. We had over, I think, 110,000 people representing families who signed the petition asking for clarification from the Chick-fil-A Corporation on their new policy. So I commend him for answering us, and also for the couple lines in the sentence that he did admit that they had made a mistake. I'm paraphrasing now, but he said, we inadvertently discredited several outstanding organizations. He's talking about the Salvation Army and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, which were the two main ministries that were not being funded. And someone at Chick-fil-A, the foundation fellow, which is not Dan Cathy, he was the one that announced that they were no longer going to fund these organizations, but rather going to fund other organizations. So I guess I would say it's a good thing for Dan Cathy to respond and also to admit that their actions did reflect unfairly and wrongly on these Christian organizations that have a long-standing tradition of standing for biblical values and biblical truth. But we're going to have to monitor and wait and see what Chick-fil-A does from here forward, whether or not they're going to make a full switch, complete switch to get away from doctrinally sound Christian organizations and just go to organizations that are more secular, I guess you could say, or that are LGBT activist-related organizations. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, so just briefly, and to follow up on what you were just saying, it sounds like you're really going to be looking at their giving record going forward. Is there anything else that you are hoping for from them?
Yes, I wish they would bring slaw back to the Chick-fil-A. I'm kidding, of course. But I think that they need to be cognizant, and I hope they are, of the fact that millions and millions of Americans, Christian Americans, support their company more than just for the service and the food, but also because they have stood for biblical values unapologetically for a long, long time. And if they get away from that, and if they go the other direction in particular, then they're going to have a lot of people who are just going to find somewhere else to buy their chicken sandwiches.
All right. A lot of people keeping their eye on Chick-fil-A right now here at CBN as well. Thank you so much, Tim Wildman, for your time.
Thank you, Heather.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN NewsWatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Yes, right on time.
From Superbook.
Pepper's Pizza Palace is donating pizza for everyone today. Wait. I have big plans today.
Trust in God even when times are tough. He has a plan for your life.
Hey, we're gonna be late for the grand opening.
My parents want me to help with this outreach thing, feeding the community. What am I supposed to do here? Superbook!
Join the Superbook Club and get Superbook The Birth of Moses, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25.
Pharaoh ordered all newborn Hebrew boys thrown into the Nile River, and I have a 3-month-old brother.
The Birth of Moses. Yours for a gift of only $25.
What will you do the next time the soldiers come?
I do not know, but I trust God has a plan for all of us.
Superbook Club members free streaming for seasons 1, 2, and 3 is now available.
Pro-life groups aren't wasting any time in their efforts to oppose changes to the Equal Rights Amendment, or ERA Act, which they say would create a stronghold for abortion in the Constitution. And here right now with more is Stephanie Stone. She is with Students for Life. And Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. Stephanie, you're protesting the amendment both at the state level and the federal level. You were in Richmond, I believe, yesterday. What is your message?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me. So Students for Life, we opposed the ERA because we believe that it would set women back decades. It would actually eliminate a lot of common sense protections that we've worked in over the years to protect women in our society. And as well, it wouldn't allow for common sense restrictions on abortion as well. So that's something that we focus on as well.
Yeah, explain a little more. Why do you think that the ERA amendment would support abortion?
Sure, absolutely. So in the ERA, basically, it says that a person's sex could not be considered in making a legal preference. And in addition, it says that basically judges cannot vote against certain restrictions on the ERA. So it's really important that we're talking about how this could affect abortion in the future.
Okay, the Justice Department has issued an opinion on the ERA saying that it has been dead for 40 years and that no action by state or federal lawmakers can revive it. So why are activists on both sides still rallying? What is the concern?
Right. So the concern is basically that the Virginia State House is still talking about it right now. I believe as we're talking, they are, I think, in the Privileges and Elections Committee going over and trying to ratify this bill. But like you said, the Department of Justice came out yesterday and said that decades ago, basically, this bill expired. So we want to keep voicing our concerns, though, as Virginia citizens, that we believe that the Equal Rights Amendment would be wrong for women and wrong for the Virginia society.
If Virginia does go ahead and pass it, what are the ramifications for the rest of the country?
Right. So the ERA, if it were passed, it could really set women back, like I said before. It could take away these really common sense protections, such as the Equal Pay Act of 1963, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and a number of other laws that could be just taken back that essentially would be really bad for the progression of women over time.
Okay, but politically speaking, if Virginia passes it, even though the Justice Department is saying this is a no-go, do you think other states might also hop on the bandwagon?
It's possible. I'm not a political analyst, but I would love to talk more about that. And I think that overall, if we really do want to make changes for women in our society, we need to completely revamp this ERA Act. And I don't really think that in the future, like, it could really pass.
All right, Stephanie Stone with Students for Life, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep,
You wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Hundreds of Puerto Ricans are left homeless after the biggest earthquake in a century hit the island. A magnitude 6.4 quake struck early morning Tuesday, killing one person, injuring 9 others, and knocking out power across the U.S. territory. More than 250,000 people remain without water, another 500,000 without power. A 4.7 magnitude aftershock rocked the southern coast yesterday. Experts say more are expected to hit over the coming days. And in Haiti, the country is getting ready to observe the 10th anniversary of a devastating earthquake that tore the country apart there. In 2010, the Haiti earthquake killed as many as 300,000 people. It also displaced 1.5 million Haitians, and it damaged and destroyed all kinds of infrastructure, from homes and schools to government buildings and businesses. Compassion International is one of the faith-based organizations that has helped to rebuild Haiti in the last 10 years. And joining us now with an update is Senior Manager with Compassion, Rico St. Paulin. Rico, thank you so much for joining us. I remember covering this earthquake, but you were actually there. What do you remember about that day?
Thank you for the invitation to this special interview. When the earthquake occurred, I was at the Compassion office at that time, and we didn't know what it was. So, because it was for the first time, we were experiencing an earthquake. And later on, we realized it was an earthquake. And
in the aftermath of that earthquake, did you run outside? What did you start seeing?
I couldn't run outside because the building was shaking, like a flip of paper, and I could see the walls cracking down. So everyone was afraid, and I had to wait, for that to stop and then to go out. And when I go out, it was like the end of the world, because I could hear the screaming, crying everywhere. And I said, God, what is that?
Wow, I can only imagine how incredibly horrific that was. I want to ask you, since the earthquake hit, Compassion has decided to focus on schools and rebuilding schools. What prompted that decision?
As Compassion, we exist to release children from poverty in Jesus' name, and our approach is a holistic approach. So everything that is like an obstacle to the development of the children, we try to address it. And as the earthquake really hit the bottom rock of the nation, so we thought that we had to fly to the rescue of our children because they are the most vulnerable ones in the country. So at a Compassion level, we lost some staff, and our staff lost their family members. And some days after the earthquake, we did an assessment, and there were 80 children that were left orphans. So, they were waiting for us despite our own anguish and sorrow. We all showed up at the Compassion Haiti office because we know that the 20,000 children at that time in the impact zone, they needed to survive, and they depended on our ability to make sound decisions and take swift actions on their behalf.
That's an incredible story. You have now raised $31 million to build 30 schools. Tell us about those schools and how they're being used.
Until today, the schools are fully operational, and this is good news. They are the safest places for children to be, and the best buildings in the areas where we build them in terms of seismic standards. They also look very nice, by the way. Children feel secure to be in those facilities, to receive an adequate education, which is key to their success in the future. And I have to mention also that because of better school infrastructures Compassion make available in our partnership with the churches in the communities, more children and youth attend their schools. As parents want their children to feel secure and to be exposed to a great learning environment. So this is really encouraging to us.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to CBN.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Get Protect Your Sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
Christian singer Lauren Daigle is managing success in the secular music industry as well. Daigle recently announced that she will be taking the stage this spring at the well-known music festival Coachella. The popular event brings in some of the music industry's biggest artists every year, with crowds of celebrities and influencers. Daigle will be performing both Sundays of the festival, April 12th and 19th. Last year, Kanye West hosted one of his Sunday services at the festival, and in 2018, Justin Bieber led worship at a side event. And that is it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, please do tell us what you think about the stories that you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope that you'll join us next time. Have a great day.